came for the party, to get naughty, get my rocks on, eat popcorn, watch you move your body.
You know, Humpty Dance threw us out into a world of around the world immediately.
They said it was an overdose on drugs, right?
Okay.
But we believe that the person that he with gave him something.
Before the nose, before the dance, before the world laughed with, and sometimes at him, there was Gregory, a quiet genius who didn't chase fame so much as trip into it while trying to build something weird, soulful, and real. Most people remember the character. Few remember the man. This is the story of how Shock G lit up hip-hop, lost himself in the mask he made, and faded out before anyone noticed he was slipping.
According to the New York Times, Gregory Edward Jacobs, otherwise known as Shock G, was found dead at a hotel in Tampa, Florida on April 22nd.
Gregory was done fading long before anyone noticed. By the time they found him alone in that small Tampa motel room, it was already quiet. No flashing lights, no breaking news alert, just the end of a long, slow unravel. The official report said it was fentanyl, meth, and alcohol, but it didn't feel like some reckless downfall. It felt like someone who'd been tired for a long time. Not in a loud way, in that kind of quiet way that sneaks up over years.
They said it was an overdose on drugs, right?
Okay.
But we believe that the person that he with gave him something.
Most people knew him as Shock G, the dude behind the glasses, nose, and voice that turned digital underground into a party. And yeah, that alter ego, Humpty, was hilarious, weird, and impossible to ignore.
You know, Humpty Dance threw us out into a world of around the world immediately.
But that character wasn't just for laughs. It was Gregory's shield, a whole performance that made it easier to show up without fully being seen. That kind of double life messes with you. Gregory started out using it to entertain, but somewhere along the way, the character took over. It stopped being fun. It stopped being a choice. Everyone wanted Humpty, the jokes, the moves. Nobody checked in on the guy underneath. And behind the scenes, Gregory was drained. He carried a lot, not just work stress, but real stuff, like the kind of sadness that doesn't always show up in pictures or performances. It's not rare. That split between who artists are and who they're expected to be eats away at people. Some try to manage it, some bury it, others just disappear under it. Gregory wasn't the only one. Loads of artists have talked about how performing constantly breaks you into pieces. You're one person in interviews, another one on stage, and someone else entirely when you're just trying to brush your teeth without having an existential crisis. And when the pressure doesn't stop, a lot of people start reaching for whatever helps them keep going. Not to party, not to feel good, just to function. Gregory was brilliant, but he was also human. And that mask that made the world laugh, it didn't protect him forever.
Pac wasn't worried about death. He was not scared of death. Neither am I. I might go tonight, I might go tomorrow. I might live another 20 years. God don't bless me, but who knows?
The industry sent another good one to the grave. For Gregory, the coping wasn't just a phase. It turned into the whole routine. What started off as a way to boost creativity slowly flipped into survival mode. Meth gave him fuel to keep moving. Fentanyl numbed the weight. Alcohol helped smooth the sharp edges. It sounds like chaos, but it actually made sense if you looked at what he was trying to patch up inside. It wasn't about chasing a high. It was about not drowning. The music industry didn't make that any easier. By the time things got quiet, Gregory wasn't getting calls, wasn't on radio, wasn't even getting the throwback love he deserved. And the same industry that once couldn't get enough of him, the beats, the style, the whole Humpty Hump show, basically ghosted. It's what that world does best. New names come in, and legends like Gregory get pushed to the background like expired milk. And this isn't some one-off. Gregory's ending looked a lot like stories we've seen before, especially for black men in music. People celebrate their genius when it's trending, then forget about them once the charts stop caring. The system eats from their talent and gives back zero when things get hard. Therapy? Question mark. Nah. Backup plans? Don't count on it. Real community? Sometimes gone before you even realize it. That's what made Gregory's exit so quiet. It wasn't some messy scandal or front-page flameout. He He just slipped out, software quiet, alone. And maybe that's what stings the most. He gave people something to laugh at, something to dance to, something totally different. But when all of that faded, he was still around, trying to stay whole while everything else moved on. He wasn't just the guy in the costume. He built beats, he mentored, he made space for others to shine. He carried funk and satire and soul in one body. But even with all that light, he was still someone fighting to feel okay. Gregory didn't just invent some goofy rap alter ego. He went full-on mythical with it. At first, it felt like a fever dream that somehow worked. Humpty Hump wasn't meant to blow up the way he did. The whole thing started as a funny side character, part joke, part jab at how way too serious hip-hop had gotten. It was weird, it was playful. It had that Bay Area chaos mixed with old-school funk energy. And then, Do What You Like dropped, and suddenly, it was Humpty's ridiculous voice, those plastic glasses, that out-of-nowhere charm that people couldn't stop watching. The Suits saw it too. They asked Gregory to turn the character into a full track. And just like that, the Humpty Dance was born, written in one afternoon. That song didn't just chart, it took off. Next thing you knew, the world wasn't just listening, they were obsessed. The glasses, the nose, the dance moves, it all went from goofy to iconic overnight. But here's the catch, when that level of fame hits, people don't want evolution. They want reruns. Gregory didn't get to be Gregory anymore, not even Shock G. He got trapped in Humpty's skin, like permanently. The wild part? Humpty was never just some silly dude with a fake nose. The whole thing was layered. He was supposed to be over the top and borderline delusional, because that was the joke. He was a walking roast of cookie-cutter artists, but people weren't clocking the deeper meaning. They just wanted more clowning, more nose, more do the dance. Nobody cared that Gregory had something to say under all that absurdity. It messed with him. He had range. He made dreamy, jazz-heavy tracks. He played real instruments. He wasn't just making bangers. He was building worlds. He worked with legends. He helped launch Tupac. But every single time he stepped in front of a mic, or a fan, or a label exec, it circled right back to Humpty. The mask got stuck, and slowly, the joke stopped being his to tell. Gregory wasn't the only one who felt split in two by fame. Artists all across the board had gone through it. Beck once said being known for one ironic track messed with his head. Gwen Stefani admitted those Harajuku outfits helped her hide, but also left her confused about who she even was. Same thing hit Gregory, but his case was messier. By the time things hit full tilt, he joked about living as 3 different Shock Gs and 4 Humpties. It wasn't just a character anymore. It was a whole crowd in his head. And the real guy behind it all? He was starting to fade out. He never hated what Humpty gave him. He got it. That character put him on the map, but it wasn't supposed to swallow everything else. If you go back and watch his interviews from the mid-90s, you can already see the burnout creeping in. He wanted more than jokes and costumes. He wanted to be taken seriously, but every time he tried to push the music forward, it felt like he had to do it while wearing a Halloween mask. That's the part that really hits. When Humpty first said he was about to ruin the image and the style people were used to, it was just a setup line, but over time, it actually came true. Humpty did ruin something. Gregory's shot at being seen as anything else. People wanted the goofy guy. They weren't really listening to what else he was trying to say, and when nobody hears you, that silence can get loud in the worst way. There wasn't some evil mastermind in the background pulling strings. Humpty came from love and chaos and creativity, but the industry, it doesn't do well with layers. It picked the easy part to sell, the clown, and left the rest. So Gregory kept performing, even when the mask didn't fit anymore. Each show, each interview, each fan moment, he had to play a version of himself he was starting to feel disconnected from. The character that started as a clever roast slowly turned into a trap. What once felt like freedom became a script, and behind the jokes, behind the glasses, behind all the noise, Gregory was slowly fading, stuck in the shadow of a persona that stopped feeling like his. Gregory was a whole band in one body. No teachers, no fancy lessons. He just picked up piano, drums, turntables, and figured it all out on his own. He didn't need a crew of producers, he was the crew. In Digital Underground, he was the one layering those funky loops, programming beats that felt like George Clinton met underground hip-hop in a back alley. And while everyone was distracted by the noses and voices, Gregory was quietly shaping the future of sound. But he didn't stop with his own group. Behind the curtain, he was working magic for other artists, especially Tupac.
It was beyond that with Tupac. His loyalty went deeper than that. We were like family to him. You know, we got him his first apartment. He had no credit. He couldn't drive. He had no driver's license.
Gregory helped Pac get his first real shot, co-producing that infectious, sample-heavy bounce on I Get Around, then turned around and flipped Stevie Wonder into something dark and emotional for so many tears. That wasn't a one-time thing either. He had his fingerprints on Pac's whole come-up. He worked on his first album, helped build that sound. He did tracks for KRS-One, Lunas, Murs, Prince. The list was deep, but nobody gave him his flowers. The industry was too busy marketing him as the funny guy in disguise. The genius behind the beats barely got a shout-out. People love to hype the loudest face in the room, but Gregory, he stayed in the shadows, doing the work that really made the stars shine. What he did for Pac wasn't just studio stuff, it was personal. Back when Pac was just carrying bags and dancing backup, Gregory saw the spark. He was the one who said, "Yo, grab the mic," and that small moment cracked the door open. From there, he became Pac's mentor, guide, the person trying to keep him grounded as things got bigger, messier, and way more dangerous. He saw Pac blow up. He saw the drama, the lawsuits, the chaos.
Pac was just discovering the streets, and camaraderie, and manhood, guns, you know, sisters.
And he saw the machine start to eat him alive. Gregory was on the sidelines, watching someone he helped build get trapped in the fame bubble, just like he had. When Pac got Gregory didn't go on some press run. He didn't make it about him. He just carried it quietly. That grief never left. He didn't just lose a friend, he lost someone who understood him, someone he tried to protect, someone he helped create. This part of Gregory's story hit different. He built so much, shaped so much, poured into other artists without needing credit. But while everyone else cashed in on loud personalities and catchy branding, Gregory was left with memories, loss, and songs that meant more than numbers ever could.